Have you ever looked into the eyes of a stray dog and felt as though it was carrying an ancient sadness, one that mirrored something in your own heart? Or have you noticed a cat appearing beside you during your loneliest nights, not to beg for food or warmth, but simply to stay? It doesn't speak. It doesn't leave. It just watches you, with a gaze that feels almost human. Many would say, it's just instinct. But deep within the Buddhist teachings lies a truth far more mysterious, far more intimate. What if that animal wasn't appearing by chance? What if it was drawn to you, by a memory? By karma? By a love that never found its ending? Today, I want to share with you a story, one that may change the way you see every animal that crosses your path. In this video, we'll explore the idea that some souls return not in human form, but in the quiet presence of the animals who walk beside us. This is not a story about fantasy. It is a story about remembrance. So I invite you truly, from the heart, stay until the very end. Because the meaning of what you are about to hear unfolds slowly, like petals in morning light. If these teachings speak to something inside you, please consider subscribing to Lotus of Dharma, leaving a comment, and sharing your story. Who knows? The soul you once loved may already be beside you now. I once heard a quiet story from a senior monk. It wasn't dramatic, but it stayed with me like a whisper from a previous life. There was an elderly devotee who lived near the monastery. Every day, without fail, he would prepare a small portion of rice and offer it to a stray dog that wandered around the temple grounds. The dog had no name, no home, and no voice, but it carried itself with a kind of silent dignity. It never barked, never growled. It simply followed the man at a respectful distance, as if they shared an unspoken understanding. Not master and pet, no, something far older, far deeper. Like two souls remembering one another across the fog of lifetimes. Then, one day, the old man passed away. No one expected what came next. The dog lay beside the man's grave. Not for a moment. Not for an hour. But for 3 full days. It did not eat. It did not move. It did not even look up when the monks approached. On the 3rd day, it died. The monks, touched beyond words, held a chanting ceremony for the dog. Not as an animal, but as a friend. As someone returning home. And during the next meditation session, the abbot, who had long since learned to see beyond appearances, offered a gentle reflection. Not everyone sees this, he said, but sometimes, the creature we think is a dog, a bird, or even a breeze was once someone dear. They return when the karmic bond is not yet complete. They return, not in vengeance or confusion, but in quiet love. In Buddhism, we do not fixate on form. The body is but a garment worn briefly, then shed. What flows beneath it is mind, is consciousness, is karma. And karma does not forget. It remembers every kindness, every debt, every silent prayer. Sometimes, when the conditions are right, those karmic threads pull beings back together across species, across time. That dog was not simply a dog. It was devotion, made visible. Perhaps a parent from a forgotten life. Perhaps a child, returned in another shape. Perhaps even a reflection of the devotee himself, reappearing to complete a circle left unfinished. In its silence, it taught more than 100 sermons. In its loyalty, it embodied the very heart of the Dharma. So let us be mindful. Let us walk this world as if every being we meet carries the spark of someone we once knew, because, in truth, they might. Let us bow not to forms, but to the unseen journeys behind those forms. For the next time we meet a stray dog, or a curious bird, or even an insect that hesitates on our path, it may not be a stranger. It may be someone who once loved us. It may even be someone we once loved. Rebirth is not confined to the human realm. According to the Buddhist teaching, all beings wander through the 6 realms of existence: heavenly beings, humans, asuras, animals, hungry ghosts, and those suffering in hell. Where one is reborn is not determined by desire or chance, but by karma, the subtle, inescapable law of cause and effect. It is a mistake to believe that once we are human, we will always remain so. The truth is more fluid, more humbling. A single unwholesome thought, a moment of greed, a life of selfishness, these can weigh the heart down, drawing it into lower realms. And yet, a single act of compassion, a sincere vow, a mind filled with loving kindness, these can lift the spirit beyond its former state. When a being passes away, their destination is shaped not by their outer form, but by the accumulated tendencies of their inner life. Thus, someone who once wore the face of a man may return as a dog, faithful, sorrowful, watching over those they once held dear. A mother who died too soon may return as a bird perched outside her child's window, singing at dawn. A loyal friend, bound by love too deep for words, may walk again on 4 legs, never far from your side. To the ordinary eye, these are animals, simple, instinct-driven. But to the eye of wisdom, they are travelers like us, cloaked in different forms. They too have suffered, longed, remembered. They too have hearts that tremble in joy and ache in grief. When we understand this, a strange thing begins to happen. We soften. We bow not only to sages and statues, but to the life in all beings. We stop asking, "Is this creature worthy of love?" and instead whisper, "How can I love more wisely, more gently, in this fleeting meeting?" The dog that followed the old devotee was not merely a beast, he may have once been the devotee's own father, brother, or child. Or perhaps, he was a being who, in a previous life, had been saved by the old man and now returned to repay that kindness in silence. There is no limit to where a soul may travel. No guarantee of status. No promise of form. What remains constant is the echo of our actions, the imprints we leave on others, and the vows we carry across lifetimes. So when you see an animal that gazes at you with knowing eyes, or one that waits outside your home without reason, don't be so quick to dismiss it. It may be more than coincidence. It may be karma, coming home. But why, among the vast multitude of animals that walk, fly, crawl, or swim across this earth, are there a few that seem to look into our hearts? Why does one dog, out of hundreds, sit patiently by your door every morning? Why does a bird return to your window each dawn, singing the same melody that your grandmother once hummed? Why do some creatures feel familiar, as though they've known us long before this life? The Buddha taught that the connections we form in this life are only the surface of deeper currents carried by karma, by unfinished vows, by the gentle or painful imprints we leave on one another. These are not merely bonds of biology or chance, they are echoes of old encounters, fragments of old love, and residues of intention that have yet to be resolved. Sometimes, a bond was born from compassion. Perhaps you once rescued that being, a starving animal, a wounded bird, a fish gasping on the shore. You might have forgotten the moment, but they have not. Gratitude, when pure, leaves a scent in the unseen. That being, reborn by the force of karma, returns not to repay a debt, but simply to be near the source of safety it once knew. Other times, the bond is more sacred, more haunting. It may be a parent who died early, a child lost before their time, a friend whose heart was entwined with yours. The physical form is gone, but the emotional current remains. If that current is strong, filled with love or longing or unspoken promises, it continues across lifetimes, reshaping itself into new forms. A soul may return as a cat curled on your lap, or a dog that guards your sleep, not because they forgot who you are, but because they never could. There are stories in every culture of animals who wait by the grave, who travel hundreds of miles to return to their humans, who seem to grieve, to remember, to love in silence. And we dismiss it as instinct. But what if it is more than that? What if, in those eyes, we are being seen not by a creature of lower intelligence, but by someone who once called us child, sibling, or beloved? In Buddhist understanding, form is fleeting. What appears as fur or feathers may have once worn a human face. The soul does not cling to species, it clings to feeling. If there is love, if there is a promise left unfulfilled, it may return not in a body we expect, but in the one that karma allows. And so, when a certain animal is drawn to you, stays near you, comforts you in moments no one else notices, pause. Not every being in your life arrived by chance. Some were called by love, by memory, by the unseen current of karmic affection. They do not speak your language, but they remember your touch. They do not share your shape, but they feel your sorrow. They do not carry your name, but they know your soul. Such relationships are not to be taken lightly. They are sacred reminders that in this world of impermanence, some connections refuse to be severed. They return in silence. They stay without asking. And they leave only when the vow is fulfilled. So when your path crosses that of a quiet animal who sees you with knowing eyes, consider, this may not be the first time you have met. And it may not be the last. In the great unfolding of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, there are no true goodbyes. What we think has ended is often only paused. What we believe is lost may be waiting at the next bend of the river, wearing a different name, a different body, a different face. Karma is not just a record of deeds. It is a memory held by the universe itself. It does not forget the tear that fell unnoticed, the kindness given without expectation, the wound left open, or the love that remained unspoken. And when the conditions ripen, when time, intention, and karmic seeds align, those stories re-emerge, not always as we remember them, but as they need to be continued. A soul that once walked beside you as a parent may return as a stray dog that refuses to leave your gate. A child lost in infancy may come back as the bird that sings at your window each morning, never flying far. A friend whose life ended before their promise to you was fulfilled may now be the cat that waits by your chair, needing no invitation to stay. These are not merely romantic notions. They are the subtle truths of interbeing. The Buddha taught that nothing arises independently, not a single thought, not a single life. Everything is woven into everything else. And so it is with our relationships. When love, regret, or devotion has not run its course, it finds a way to return. Not always for reunion, but sometimes for resolution. This is why some meetings in life feel strangely familiar. Why we are drawn to certain beings without reason. Why the presence of an animal can bring comfort deeper than words, or stir grief we didn't know we carried. It is the soul recognizing what the mind cannot remember. A moment of karmic recognition. A reunion long overdue. But here lies the quiet wisdom: these returns are not to rekindle attachment, but to heal it. To offer us the chance to see more clearly, to love more purely, to release what still clings in the shadow of memory. If a being has returned to your life in another form, it is not by mistake. It is an invitation, a sacred opportunity to fulfill a vow, to offer closure, or to simply sit in the presence of a familiar soul and say, without needing words, I see you. I remember. May we both be free. So let us not ask why these animals come to us. Let us ask what unfinished kindness still binds us together. Let us receive them, not as pets or creatures beneath us, but as echoes of the past walking gently into our present so that we may walk together, even if only for a little while, toward freedom. We often believe that love, sorrow, loyalty, or joy are uniquely human emotions that arise only in those who speak, write, or reason. But this is a view clouded by pride. In truth, the heart does not need language to feel, and the soul does not require logic to remember. In the eyes of a grieving elephant who stays beside the bones of her mate, in the tears of a dog left behind by a passing hearse, in the silent gaze of a cat who rests on your chest when you are ill, there is something unmistakable, feeling. Not reaction, not instinct, but remembrance. Presence. Connection. The Buddha never taught that only humans were capable of awareness. He spoke of all sentient beings, those who breathe, who perceive, who tremble when hurt and soften when shown kindness. The ant, the sparrow, the ox, the monkey all carry within them a flicker of mind, a stream of consciousness. It may be more subtle. It may be simpler. But it is not absent. If you have ever wept and had a dog rest its head on your lap without being called, if you have ever sat in silence and felt a bird remain with you longer than nature demanded, you have touched something that cannot be explained by instinct alone. You have encountered a soul recognizing your pain, perhaps because it, too, once wept as a human. These moments are not rare. They are sacred. But to see them, we must slow down. We must look beyond species, beyond roles, beyond the illusion that we are somehow separate from the rest of life. In the garden of samsara, all beings are seeds. Some bloom in human form. Others rise as animals. But beneath the surface, the soil is the same, made of karma, of longing, of memory, of intention. And when two seeds have grown side by side before, even if they sprout in different shapes now, they lean toward one another. They recognize the warmth. They remember the sun they once shared. So let us not hold tightly to the idea that animals are lesser. Let us not assume that our ability to speak makes us more capable of love. In fact, because animals love without words, they often love more honestly. And perhaps, in their silence, they remind us what we have forgotten. That true connection does not need explanation. It only needs presence. When an animal stays with you in your suffering, it is not pity. It is not habit. It is, in its purest form, compassion born from a heart not so different from your own. Let us honor that. Let us bow to that. For in doing so, we bow not just to the being before us but to the unbroken thread of life that binds us all, through lifetimes, through forms, through every breath we share beneath this same sky. In the great eye of the Dharma, there is no hierarchy of worth. There is no higher being and lower being, only beings in different stages of awakening, walking different paths through the same forest of impermanence. A mosquito and a monk both tremble at death. A dog and a king both suffer when abandoned. A sparrow and a sage both seek warmth when the wind turns cold. What separates us is not value, but karma. And karma is not a judgment, it is a mirror. It reflects the seeds we have planted, the intentions we have carried, the truths we have ignored or honored. The Buddha never claimed that humans were superior. He simply taught that in this human form, we have a rare opportunity to see clearly, to awaken, to act with compassion not just for our own kind, but for all beings caught in the web of suffering. He reminded us that every being we meet, whether walking, flying, crawling, or resting unseen in the depths of the sea, has once been our mother, our father, our child. And if not in this life, then in one before. And if not in the past, then in the life yet to come. To walk the path of awakening is not to rise above the world, but to walk more gently within it. It is to open the heart so wide that it makes no distinction between me and them, human and animal, noble and low. For the awakened one sees only the dance of conditions arising, passing, changing form, but never outside the great law of interbeing. When you look into the eyes of a cow being led to slaughter, or a stray dog curled up against the winter cold, you are not looking at an animal. You are looking at life that fears, that hopes, that remembers warmth and longs for safety. You are looking at a soul who, like you, is trying desperately to find a way out of suffering. So do not ask if animals are equal to humans. Ask instead, when I look at this being, can I still see the Buddha within them? Because that is the final test of compassion. Not whether you can love those who look like you, speak like you, or praise you, but whether your heart can bow before those who cannot say your name, yet stand beside you in this shared journey of birth, aging, and death. To see all beings as equal is not sentiment. It is wisdom. To treat them as sacred is not indulgence. It is truth. And to live without harming them is not weakness. It is the first step toward liberation. There are stories quiet, almost invisible, that have been passed down not through scripture, but through the soft thread of lived experience. A young woman, drowning in depression, closed herself off from the world. Friends left, family faded. Yet each day, a stray cat came to her door. It did not ask for food. It did not seek shelter. It simply lay beside her in silence, as though saying, "I know your pain. I will stay until you forget how alone you feel." And slowly, gently, without knowing how, she began to heal. Far away, an old man lived the last years of his life in solitude. No children. No family. But each morning, a small bird came to rest on his window frame, singing the same soft song. The old man once whispered to a neighbor, "I don't know why, but when it sings, it feels like my wife has come to visit me. Just for a while." Are these merely coincidences? Or could they be the return of familiar souls' karma dressed in new forms, coming back not to speak, but to stay? The truth, perhaps, is not written in books, but held in the moments that stop us mid-breath, in the way a creature looks at us as though it remembers, as though it forgives, as though it still loves. The Buddha taught that all beings are equal, not in appearance, but in essence. Within every living creature dwells a consciousness capable of feeling, of remembering, of suffering, and most beautifully of loving. So the next time you look into the eyes of an animal that stays near you, ask not what species is this, but who might this once have been. Look deeper. Sometimes, behind the fur, feathers, or quiet gaze, you may see something far older than this life, a soul once known, still walking with you, just in a different shape. For in the silence of animals, there are often truths too sacred for words. And in their presence, we are reminded that love never dies. It only changes form. That no connection is ever truly lost. And that in this vast web of life, we meet again and again, not as strangers, but as timeless companions, finding one another across the endless tide of becoming. So the next time a silent animal appears at your door, or waits by your side without being called, don't rush to explain it away. Don't ask, "Why is this dog following me?" or "Why does this bird keep returning?" Instead, ask gently, "Who might you have been to me?" Because in this universe shaped by karma and rebirth, no encounter is ever truly random. Perhaps that stray dog was once your father. Perhaps that cat was once a friend who couldn't bear to leave you behind. Perhaps that bird singing at dawn is the echo of a love unfinished. In the Dharma, we are taught that all sentient beings, human or animal, carry the same longing to be seen, to be safe, to be free. And if you are quiet enough, open enough, you may feel it, the invisible thread of memory that connects you to something older than this life. Let this truth humble you. Let it soften you. Let it awaken the deepest compassion in you, not only for those who speak your language, but for those who speak with presence, with silence, with love that transcends form. If this message has touched your heart, I invite you to share your story in the comments. Have you ever felt the gaze of a soul reborn? Let us walk this path of remembrance together. Subscribe to Lotus of Dharma for more wisdom that speaks not only to the mind, but to the soul. And remember, sometimes, love returns not in words, but on 4 legs, waiting patiently for you to recognize it.